Think about this for a moment. The recent trip to China, it was highly irregular. It was bizarre on a level we rarely see in international diplomacy. The reality of what unfolded when the two leaders met is absolutely staggering. Standard protocol dictates that when delegations of this magnitude meet, gifts are exchanged. These aren't just trinkets. These are highly valuable, symbolic items. We're talking about commemorative badges, rare artifacts, highly advanced technology, and items so valuable they often end up in secure state vaults. And naturally, the billionaire businessmen accompanying the delegation receive equally lavish, high-value items, including precious metals. But look at what actually happened. The delegation, including the leader himself, received these massive, high-profile gifts. But before they even boarded their aircraft to leave, before they even waved goodbye, a strict, non-negotiable order was issued. Every single gift, every single item received from their hosts had to be thrown into the trash. They were explicitly ordered not to bring a single item onto the plane. The entire delegation had already left their personal phones and devices at home, operating strictly on burner phones throughout the entire trip. Can you imagine the level of paranoia? They decreed that not one object from the host nation would cross their threshold. They openly admitted they couldn't trust anything, fearing hidden bugs, microscopic drones, or surveillance tech disguised as simple gifts. The directive was absolute: bring nothing back. This is the ultimate sign of a completely failed, catastrophic diplomatic mission. Now you begin to understand the deep frustration surrounding this trip. Yes, he is the leader of a superpower, and security protocols are paramount, but you do not personally discard state-level gifts from a rival superpower into a hotel trash can. Do you see why the entire dialogue failed? The trash cans they used were inside the host country. They left these high-value gifts in the bins of their hotel rooms right before checking out. They were state guests, yet the delegation was explicitly warned not to speak freely in their own rooms, fearing constant surveillance, hidden devices, or compromised luggage. This is the reality of global diplomacy today. People ask how the trip failed. It didn't just fail. It was a spectacular collapse of trust. They essentially told their hosts, "We will not take anything you give us." Now consider the logic here. Would the host state really be foolish enough to plant a bug on the leader's plane, knowing that if discovered, it would signal to the entire world that every visiting dignitary is compromised? They are far too strategic for that, and the visiting security teams are certainly capable of screening these items to verify their safety. In the past, every gift was meticulously scanned and cleared, but this time, they abandoned the scanning process entirely. They were either too terrified that the host's technology was so advanced it would bypass their scanners, or they simply wanted to send a brutal message, so they dumped the gifts in the trash. Imagine the insult. You complete a high-stakes state visit, accept the symbolic gestures of diplomacy, and then literally leave them in the hotel garbage. Despite this blatant display of total distrust, the superpower still expected the host nation to cooperate on critical global issues if they were truly concerned about security. They could have shipped the items via secure cargo to be analyzed later, but to leave them behind like that, it sends a singular, devastating message. We do not trust you, your technology, or your intentions. Look at the broader context of this technological Cold War. The superpower constantly attempts to ban foreign apps like TikTok, while the host nation blocks YouTube, Facebook, and Meta platforms. The disconnect is absolute. It is a level of mutual distrust so profound that not a single agreement was signed during the entire visit. The superpower previously restricted microchip exports, then arrived offering chips as a bargaining chip. But the host nation simply declined. They are already developing their own advanced chips. They have successfully run their own experiments and have realized they don't need the superpower's technology at all. The geopolitical tectonic plates are shifting in ways we cannot fully comprehend. Before we continue, I want to personally thank those who recently supported our work. You absolutely didn't have to do this, but you did, and it means the world to us. You gave us hope when we needed it most. But I must share a harsh reality with you today. While every single contribution is deeply appreciated, it is nowhere near enough To sustain the massive effort behind this content, our other platforms have already been permanently removed simply for showing the unfiltered truth. Preparing just one of these deep breakdowns takes grueling days of intense research, and right now our severe lack of resources has drastically slowed down our production. We cannot fight this censorship on empty. To keep uncovering these realities consistently, we need more than just a one-time gesture. We need a steady foundation to rely on. If you want this independent voice to survive and push forward, please consider becoming that reliable, ongoing backing we need through the link in the description. Hit follow. And let's get back to the video. In this entire geopolitical struggle, neither side is willing to blink, but the gesture of discarding gifts is unprecedented. Usually, foreign intelligence takes these items, dismantles them, and analyzes the technology, but to toss them in the trash on foreign soil and declare, "We are taking nothing," that is unheard of. And consider how the trip began. Reports surfaced immediately that when the visiting security personnel tried to enter a secure area with their weapons, they were physically restrained and beaten by the host security forces. They were thrown to the ground and struck, causing a massive delay. Have you ever heard of such an incident occurring at this level of diplomacy? Yet, after all this, the superpower still demands that the host nation stop supporting nations like Iran, while simultaneously supporting their own allies in the Middle East, arming Taiwan, militarizing Japan, and building a global coalition against their host. They started a massive trade war, which ultimately failed to break the host nation's economy. After orchestrating all this hostility, they still expect cooperation. They expect favorable terms? Think about the sheer paranoia regarding these gifts. If the superpower had taken a compromised gift home and discovered a bug, they would have paraded it before the world, destroying the host nation's credibility. The host nation knows this. They aren't foolish. But if you want to talk about planting bugs during diplomatic visits, look at what the British Prime Minister recently revealed about the leader of a certain allied Middle Eastern nation. He stated that this allied leader visited the Prime Minister's residence in the UK, asked to use the private washroom, and personally planted a listening device before leaving. He didn't even use a spy. He did it himself. It wasn't until much later, during a routine security sweep, that they found it and realized they had been monitored for months. This is the level of espionage occurring among so-called allies. The superpower is deeply entrenched in these shadow games. The host nation made a very sharp observation recently. How did you become a superpower? Through corruption, overthrowing governments, waging wars, bombing nations, and establishing 800 military bases in 80 countries. We built our power through construction, infrastructure, and technology. The contrast is stark. The host nation operates on an entirely different level of efficiency and advancement, a totally different world, built without endless foreign wars. So, what is the ultimate conclusion of this diplomatic disaster? A delegation of billionaires, including the leader himself, took state-level gifts and threw them in the hotel trash, and the hotel staff simply handed them right back to their government. This is the current terrifying state of global diplomacy. If you are seeing the cracks in the global system, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Share this critical breakdown everywhere you can, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss the truth.